Back in 2018, the United States, Canada, and Mexico won the bid to co-host the 2026 World Cup together. And the pitch they sold to FIFA was all about unity. The idea was 3 neighbors, 1 continent, one big celebration of North America coming together. The US Soccer Federation president called it at the time a powerful message. But the more you look at what's actually happening around this tournament, the more you realize that this isn't just a soccer event. This might be the most politically complicated sporting event ever held. And look, on paper it was actually a great idea. You've got some of the biggest stadiums in the world already built in the US. You've got Mexico City, one of the most passionate soccer cities on the entire planet. And you've got Canada, a place that the World Cup has never been before. The economic projections for this tournament were bigger than ever. A study by FIFA and the World Trade Organization predicted that the tournament would generate $30.5 billion in the USA alone. And of course, every country involved will be completely ready for this. Well, here's what nobody told you back in 2018. By the time this huge world event actually happens, the co-host countries would be in a trade war with each other. And one of them would be in a war with a nation that has qualified for the tournament also, where fans from many countries around the world would be completely banned from entering the USA. And the whole thing would be unfolding in one of the most chaotic geopolitical moments ever. And somehow, FIFA handed out a peace prize in the middle of it, which was super weird. The whole premise of putting this tournament in 3 countries apparently was based on unity. But since January 2025, the US has levied tariffs on Mexico and Canada, playing this on-again, off-again game with its own neighbors and co-hosts of the tournament. These are the same countries it's supposed to be throwing a huge global party with. But the most messed up part about it is that it didn't stop at tariffs. Trump has openly talked about making Canada the 51st state. He's called Mexico's president, and I'm quoting here, a lovely woman. But she's also so afraid of the cartels that she can't even think straight. He also tried to push her to allow US troops in Mexico to fight the cartels. So you've got this World Cup combined with a massive symbol of so-called international friendship. But in reality, it's being co-hosted by 3 countries that are actively beefing with each other in trade, rhetoric, and policy. And they expect us just to go along with it. Clap for the opening ceremony, cheer on our team, buy the merch, and pretend we didn't notice that anything else was going on. FIFA's out here talking about how football unites the world, and the 3 countries running the show can't even barely get through a press conference without one of them threatening the other with tariffs or war. It's a complete mess, and it's one that nobody at FIFA seems to acknowledge publicly. FIFA says that the World Cup is for everybody. That's literally their slogan. But the Trump administration has banned nationals from 39 countries. And of the 48 countries that qualified for this tournament, they've banned fans from at least 4 of them: Iran, Haiti, Ivory Coast, and Senegal, which are either fully or partially banned from entering the United States. Haiti qualified for the World Cup for its first time in 50 years, and their fans can't even get into the USA to support the team and to watch them play. The ACLU, Amnesty International, and over 120 other organizations issued a formal travel warning for this tournament. They warn that border agents are forcing travelers to unlock their phones and laptops, that people are being stopped based on how they look or how they speak, and that some visas are being cancelled mid-trip, leading to detention or deportation, and that non-citizens could be targeted just for attending peaceful protests. They didn't tell fans to stay home though. They're just telling them to be prepared if they plan on visiting the US. They told travelers to turn off their facial ID and fingerprint ID before they land in the USA, to share travel plans with family in case something goes wrong, and to download a legal aid app so you can reach a lawyer fast if you get detained. All this just to watch a match in the World Cup in 2026. And then there's ICE, the US Immigration Enforcement. If you're not familiar with them, they've been all over the headlines in this last year. Their official position is that they play a key role in the World Cup security this year, which is a pretty blunt way of saying you might fly in to watch a match, but you might not fly back home. See, FIFA has officially marketed the 2026 tournament as the most inclusive World Cup ever. This was a marketing slogan to expand the tournament to 48 teams and to host it across 3 countries. What a great way to make money. But here's the thing though, the reality of this travel bans and civil rights warning directly contradicts that promise, creating a massive public relations problem for FIFA. Behind the scenes, apparently FIFA has been quietly lobbying the US government to ease visa restrictions, which tells you pretty much everything you need to know. But the thing is that they have zero actual power here. They can ask nicely, they can throw money at it and hope it works, but that's about all they can do. FIFA is learning the hard way that US immigration law is US immigration law, and no federation is changing that. Publicly, FIFA says that they support human rights, but they also conveniently say that border policy is the host government's problem, not theirs. What a neat little escape hatch they have set up here. So what's their actual solution? Well, their solution to this is if you have issues or think you might have them, go watch a game in Canada or Mexico instead. Problem solved. Except it's not, and FIFA knows this. In early 2026, the United States, one of the 3 countries hosting this World Cup, struck Iran. And I don't mean trade strikes or sanctions. It was a military strike. They attacked Iranian nuclear sites and killed their leader. See, this is the first time in history that a World Cup host nation has actively been at war with a participating nation. And it throws a wrench into this already messed up and convoluted situation. Iran qualified for this tournament. And interestingly enough, they were supposed to play all 3 of their group stage games in the United States, the same country that they are in an active war with right now. Iran's sports minister came out and said it was definitely not possible for them to participate, that it wasn't possible after the US killed their supreme leader. And he said that competing in the tournament hosted by the US was out of the question, which honestly, from no matter what side you were standing on, it's pretty understandable. Then FIFA pushed back. It said that Iran had the right to participate, and Trump said that he'd publicly welcome their participation. But then, right after that, he also posted on Truth Social, questioning whether he can guarantee the safety of the Iranian players if they did come. Mexico's president even offered to host Iran's games in Mexico instead of the US, but FIFA said no. And FIFA seems to still be out here talking about how football unites the world. And you want to know what I found ironic about all of this? It seems like Mexico's actually the country that's been handling this whole situation with the most professionalism. But not many people are talking about this, and I think we should. The Mexican president refused troops on Mexican soil. She offered to host the Iranian team when the US made it uncomfortable for them. And Mexico's deploying 100,000 security personnel, 20,000 soldiers, 55,000 police, just to make sure that the tournament is safe and fun for everybody participating in Mexican cities. And like I said, the opening game, it's here in Mexico on June 11th. Mexico versus South Africa at the world famous Azteca, or the Banorte Stadium if you want to call it that, because they renamed it last year for advertising reasons. Now, no matter what its name, this place might actually be the most iconic soccer stadium on earth. So, in this story, Mexico isn't the problem. It isn't the problem like US media and politicians always say it is. Mexico is actually part of the story that is actually working. And if you're a fan from one of these countries that's banned from entering the US, you can still come to Mexico and watch the games here. Mexico didn't implement any bans. It's not at war with anybody. And Mexico is actually representing what this whole tournament was supposed to be in the first place. An inclusive place where everyone is welcome to come, have fun, party, and cheer for their favorite team. That's what it's supposed to be about. Look, none of this is actually new. People like to pretend that sports exist in some separate world from politics, but it doesn't. It never has, and probably never will, especially when it comes to the World Cup. In 1974, East Germany beat West Germany 1-0 at the World Cup during the Cold War. That game meant more to those two nations than just a soccer match. And in 1986, Argentina beat England in the quarterfinals just years after the Falkland War. Maradona's Hand of God goal felt like more than just a goal to both of those countries too. Sports has always been a stage for something bigger. Countries use these events to show the world who they are, to project power, to build relationships, and to use it as a platform to push their own narratives. But what's different about 2026 is the scale of the contradiction. The gap between what the tournament is supposed to represent and what's actually happening around it is bigger than it's ever been. Maybe it's because there's more access to information than ever before. I have no idea. But here's the thing. You've got 3 co-hosts in a trade war, a host country at war with a qualifying nation, fans from 4 qualifying countries banned from attending, civil rights organizations issuing travel advisories, and a FIFA president who gave a peace prize to the guy in the middle of it all, who we all know doesn't deserve it. That's not a normal World Cup drama. That's something on a completely different level. Listen, I don't know what will happen next. All I know is that I'll be here, watching the opening game from Mexico City, probably surrounded by people who are just as excited about the tournament as I am. And really, I think that's actually the point at the ground level. The fans just want to watch the game. They want to cheer for their team and feel that energy. Because that's really what makes this tournament worth watching. You're only paying attention to what's happening on the field, you're missing half of the story. And unfortunately, what's happening around this tournament tells you more about where the world is right now. The 2026 World Cup is a mirror, and what it's reflecting back at us is something we all should probably pay more attention to, even if it's really uncomfortable to watch.